Shall I go ahead now, have that opportunity, the pleasure of introducing our guest of the week, and that would be none other than the maker or the developer of the shortcut maker, and that would be Rushikesh Kamewar from India. And I'm mighty proud of that. Rushikesh, welcome to the party.
Yes, thank you, Warren. Yeah, hello everyone.
Well, thank you so much. So we're going to be talking about your app, and I have it installed here. Um, I think I probably should kind of bring up the app first, and then run a quick check on it, the layout and all of that, and then we'll talk about that app. Does that sound right, boys?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right.
Device unlocked. Shortcut maker. What's new in V3.8? 1. New Android 12 icon styles are added in edit icon section. 2. This is an experimental feature. Let me know if you have any issues. Join Telegram group or follow me on Twitter for more updates.
Okay, so when you launch the app, because I cleared all the cache and data, so it will appear like I'm running it for the first time. And so you'll hear that message,
Twitter button.
greet you, and you could swipe to Twitter where you can interact with Rushikesh.
Telegram button.
And,
Telegram.
there's a Telegram.
Got it button.
And
Got
then,
it.
or you tap on I got it. Okay.
Shortcut maker. Theme.
So when you launch the app, when you get past that screen, you are placed on this screen.
Shortcut maker.
And
activities, row 1, column 2. The grid.
we
3 rows,
have
4 columns.
several columns here. And so that's how you interact with it.
Apps, column 1.
You've got apps to the left, and to the right of that.
File contents, column 2. Settings, column 3. Websites, column 4.
And then the row below.
Interlink, row 3, column 1. In-app, column 2. Requested, column 3. Split, column 4. Collections, button, out of grid.
It is just
Donate, 3 of 9.
full of all kinds of activities. I mean, all kinds of stuff
Join Telegram,
here that you can do here. And so the whole idea is of a shortcut maker. You know how it is deep buried in your Android device is the fact that there are certain things you can get to, and I was surprised by how possible it was for me to find some things that I never thought I would be able to find, because even using like your Android native thing and say, hey, I want to grab something and put it in my quick panel, some of the things are not available. So with this app, you have access to just about everything on your Android phone. And so in my case, it came in handy because of the Brailleback app, which crashes a lot. And a lot of times I have to go back into system settings, go back into accessibility, then go tap on Brailleback. And it, of course, will say Brailleback is not working at the moment. And so I'm going to tap to disable Brailleback and then re-enable Brailleback in order to be able to use it. So what I had done was to use this shortcut maker and create a little shortcut to Brailleback on my home screen so that I would quickly get to it when I have such a thing. And that's what the app does. And so if you want to create, like say, hey, I want to quickly have an access to either my Wi-Fi or my Bluetooth or certain app or whatever the case may be, or even to do not disturb or whatever, anything having to do with your Android phone, you can use that and grab that shortcut and put it on your desktop. And it's a beautiful thing. So I think that maybe next week or so we'll do an in-depth look on how it works. But since we have the guest here with us today, the developer, Rushikesh. Rushikesh, my first question to you would be, what led you to developing this app? What was the reason why you thought, you know what, I think I needed to develop something like this called the shortcut maker? Take us down that journey.
Yeah. So rightly, like you said, that every time we use some settings and all that, some apps. So we want some direct shortcut to those functionality in one click, right? So basically, the idea was to bring that all that to the home screen. So
That's
first,
right.
yeah. So when I started, there were only some few features in the app, and as I went along with the development, I added more and more features.
That's right. Now, so and I'll let my other colleagues, ask some other questions that they may have about about the app. But so, the first time I came across it, I think it was someone that had asked a question from our mailing list as to what other,
Mhm.
shortcut maker that's available there on the Play Store, and I, suggested this, and at the time though, there was like, some things were not very friendly to the screen reader. And I think I wrote to you, another person wrote to you, and I was
Mhm.
surprised that in no time at all you fixed those issues. And I felt like going out to have a party, because here's a developer, who listened to us, and in no time at all those things were corrected. Now tell us, was it really that difficult for you to make it compliant, make it, accessible to screen readers? Because most of the time, what we hear from other developers when we try to contact them, asking them to help us make things accessible to our screen reader,
Mhm.
the usual thing has always been, oh, this is so time consuming, and it's, resources, I don't have the resources. Now tell us, did that really bring so much of an added cost to you by making this thing accessible, or how long did it take you to kind of maybe redesign or reconfigure this thing to make it accessible to those of us who are blind?
Uh, so I will say that it was not that difficult, but I want to make this app accessible to everyone. Uh, so this will also improve my app. So I thought it was necessary for me to do that. And the change you mentioned, like I guess image talkback, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, image description talkback. So I had the default image description, like image description. So I changed that to null. So right now, if you came across any images in the app, it will just it won't say anything back.
Exactly, because the problem
Yeah.
was, it was saying image, and then, followed by the name of the,
Yes. Yes.
the tab, like I was looking through earlier on. If that had not been
Mhm.
fixed, you would have heard things like, image activity, image settings, something like that. So you get rid of that, and now it just reads it out straight, and that's what we're talking about. So the contextual labeling
Mhm.
works really well, and now the app is just a joy to use.
Mhm. And thanks to you, this feature was added to the app.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And Rushikesh, how did you go about finding out how you needed to change the app to make it compatible with TalkBack? Were there any resources you used? Because sometimes we write to
Mhm.
developers and tell them that their apps aren't accessible, but we can't tell them how to fix it, and often they don't know themselves. So how did you go about learning what you needed to change?
So I had that previously configured in the app. So basically, whenever I add any image to the app, so I have to add one description for the same. So as a default, I keep it as image description. But then when Warren suggested me that it is a difficult for you to hear the image sound frequently, so I removed that particular description for all the images.
That's right. And I think that also in my email to you, I probably, because my thing is that whenever I write to a developer, I just assume from the position that they probably are not aware of, these tools or these, guidelines laid down by
Mhm.
Google. And so typically I would include like the Google accessibility scanner, and then also like the Google web page that is about developing with accessibility in mind. And so usually that's what I would do. And so, but I think that maybe I believe I sent that to you, but I think you probably understood what was needed, and so you probably didn't even need to consult, those resources that I had pointed. You understood what was going on, and you just went ahead and fixed it. I think it was just the following day or whatever, I got an update, and to my surprise, that thing has been fixed.
Yes, yes. So I am constantly giving updates. Like I started a weekly update for the app few months ago. So whenever you have any issues with the app, you can directly get in contact with me. So next week this that will be fixed.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, Austin, you got any question for Rashikesh?
Now, on some devices, it is difficult to add things to the quick access or the quick settings panel. So, can the app do something that we can add or remove things from the to the quick settings panel?
I thought about it, but it was somewhat complex for me to build that into this app. I'm thinking of creating a new app for separate app for this.
That
Okay.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yes, because it is already too much for one app, and I'm an individual developer, so it is hard for me to manage all the files and keep track of all the changes inside one. Yeah.
And then I think also what happens is that you don't want the app to get way too bloated, and then it becomes a
Yeah.
problem.
It is already too hard for me to manage uh, all the app files, and if there is any change, then I have to track that I did that change, and it doesn't affect any other functionality of the app.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's really good because I'm excited about it, and I think that our listeners would be able to take advantage of it. It's a very beautiful app, well written, most especially now that all that accessibility issue is gone, and making the app looking nice and clean. From the viewpoint of using it as a blind person with a screen reader. So, if you haven't tried Shortcut Maker, we're going to be putting the URL in the show notes. Give it a try. You won't regret it, and have those things you've always wanted on your home screen brought there by ShotMaker.
Thanks very much, Rushikesh. That was fantastic. And as Warren says, do go and try that app.